Okay, so I must admit, I came to this country when I was 23 years old. I, by now, most of you who have listened to some of my videos know that I'm from the island of Barbados. I had a mixed childhood, but it was primarily good. But my parents were, they were children. My parents were children who were trying to learn how to be parents. And a lot of that happened because there's no book on parenting. There is no parenting 101 that you can read and actually master the art of parenting. But growing up, one of the things that was unfair, because I use that word a lot when I was growing up, they're so unfair, was the fact that my parents would actually punish me. In the Caribbean, would say that your parents would beat you, and beatings were real. You know, my mother beat me with whatever she could find in her hand or what she could put her hand on. But the injustice of the beatings or the whoopings were that she would beat me and she would say, "Don't cry, stop crying." It was like, you're literally getting your hiney torn up. You're in major pain. And here is this grown adult person telling you, stop crying. You're not allowed to cry, even though you're in pain. And guess what? You better not cry. And so I did not cry. You know, I would whimper, but even that you could get further punishment. So you had to control your emotion while you were experiencing painful emotions. How many of you can relate to that? How many of you can relate to other things like your parents telling you you shouldn't cry or you shouldn't respond a certain way, even though your response was legitimate? But yet still, we as adults that experience these childhood things come and do it to our own children. I did. I remember spanking my daughter and saying, "Stop crying." It was learned behavior. Forgive me. She forgives me. But I mean, all I knew is that if I spanked you, you were not supposed to cry. You didn't have a right to feel what you were feeling, because primarily what you were feeling was upsetting me. It was upsetting me further enough for me to further punish you. Doesn't make sense, right? Check this out. Why do you want to tell me how I should feel or what I should feel? What gives you the right to control my emotions? Parents, of course, have that right because you're in their charge, your children, and they get to dictate. A lot of that dictation is not fair or are positive, or it might not be justified or right, but that's what parents do. So we accept that that's the parental right to punish their children the way they see or to teach their children what they know. But in relationships, how the, I didn't say the word, how the are you going to tell me what I should feel and how I should feel when I'm crying or when I'm upset? How dare you tell me that I should not feel what I'm feeling? How dare you even go further and tell me this is what you feel that I'm feeling and tell me what emotions you think I should be feeling? We do it in our relationships. Is it a learned behavior from our childhood? Is it a behavior from our past environment or our cultural perspective or our parenting growing up? Or is it something we develop for further reasons of our own? Let's talk about some of the reasons why somebody would tell you not to feel what you're feeling and how to feel when you're feeling what you're feeling. The only reasons that people tell you that stuff is because they're uncomfortable, like I said earlier, with your discomfort. They can't stand the fact that they had a hand in your discomfort. So the way of minimizing how they feel is to control your emotions. They actually have a vested interest in stopping you from feeling the way you're feeling so they can make themselves feel better. What the? Yeah, but this is not a revelation. This is nothing new under the sun. This is real. This is what happens every day in relationships where people who are emotionally unstable or emotionally unintelligent try to control other people's emotions so that their emotions can stay status quo. They don't want to change, or maybe they don't know how to change. So the best thing to do is enforce the knowledge that they have and to proliferate the practice that they've been doing their whole lives. It's like, this is who I am. Have you ever talked to anybody and they said, this is who I am, and this is who I've always been? Okay, does that mean you stop growing at what age? 18? No. When you say things like that, you are actually reinforcing your behavior and not taking responsibility or accountability for yourself. And if you cannot take accountability and responsibility for yourself, therefore, you surely cannot control someone else or tell them how to show up for themselves. We need, as people, rational people, I assume most of us are rational, that we should apply this rationale to our relationships moving forward. We do not have a right to tell people how to behave when they're having an emotional outburst or a breakdown. I mean, within the parameters of what is healthy and what is unhealthy. But if somebody says, I'm sad, don't tell them they're not sad. If somebody says, I'm hurting, don't try to convince them that they're not hurting, that they're okay. How about practicing some other techniques and tools that can help foster a better relationship with that individual and a better understanding of yourself? So some of the techniques and tools that I want to talk about today are boundaries, respect, patience, which is exhibited through love. Love is patient, and understanding. Let me repeat those again. Boundaries, respect, patience, love, and understanding. In order to appreciate where somebody is coming from when they're emotional, because women generally are emotional. They're not all women are emotional, despite the common theory, and not all men are non-emotional. But most women get accused of being emotional because emotions precede conversations. Men are emotional too. There's some men that can lose it because that's how they deal with confrontation or conflict or things that go against the grain of what they believe. But when you try to control someone's emotions, you're actually disrespecting that person. You're actually telling them that you do not care about how they feel. You're actually telling them not only do you not care about how they feel, you want them to behave in a different format instead of acknowledging how they really feel. That's the first thing, is disrespect. The second thing is boundary. And this goes back to respect. A boundary is something that it sets a limit. It sets a limit to protect the person or to protect the relationship or to protect whatever, but in this case, it's protecting your emotions and is it protecting how you feel and allowing you to feel protected in a certain environment. When you don't respect that person's emotions, when you disregard that person's emotions, you're disregarding their boundary, their limits, or the limit that they set to protect themselves and to help them cope with whatever they're dealing with. Patience, love. That sounds familiar? I look at patience and love as one and the same. The Bible says love is patient. If you are disregarding, disrespecting, ignoring, dismissing, disregarding somebody's feelings, or dictating someone's feelings, you're doing all these things because you do not have patience or you do not understand how to be patient with the person that is exhibiting the emotions that are making you uncomfortable. Let me say that again. If you're dismissive, if you're disregarding, if you're dictating that person's emotions or trying to control, which is also dictating that person's emotions, then you're disregarding their feelings, but in a way where you're making them feel like they don't matter, like there's no value to this person or to the relationship you have with this person. Imagine that, being taught as a child not to display your own emotions because it made your parents uncomfortable, and then bringing that to your own children and trying to make them adhere to the same thing that made you uncomfortable when you were a child. Of course, it's hypocrisy, and we are hypocritical by nature. We have to practice on not being hypocritical. But we no longer in a position, if you absorb the knowledge that I'm giving you, it's just a little bit of knowledge, right? If you can learn to respect boundaries and be patient and loving and understanding and exhibit empathy and sympathy with your partner or the person you're in a relationship with, whether it's a child, friend, partner, spouse, then your relationship stands a chance. It stands a chance of not only healing, but it stands a chance of actually growing and developing into and proliferating into something beautiful. We have to stop doing the things that are breaking us. We have to stop doing the things that are divisive in nature. We need to practice healthier boundaries. We need to practice things that celebrate the people that are in our lives, that help that person to recognize that they have the support they need in the other person. It is not always easy to get past your own pain and trauma and experiences and push yourself to the beyond the limits to encompass and incorporate the things I'm talking about. You have to have a willing desire to want to do those things, not just for the other person, but especially for yourself. We are a growth by nature. The universe is constantly moving. As it moves, it creates. And the same is true with us. As we move, we should be creating. And in that creation, there should be growth. And the growth should be growth that is healthy. Let's plan on a healthy future, not just for our partners or those in our lives, but let's incorporate these things so that we can be better. Stop telling people how they should behave. Stop telling people that they should not feel the way they feel and how they should feel. Stop for a second. Check yourself. What did it say before you wreck yourself? My name is Ingrid Felton. As always, thank you for showing up on my YouTube channel. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for bringing other people. Thank you for your comments. You can reach me as always. You can go to my website. Some of the videos have my phone number on here. Reach out to me, leave a message, and I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you. If I can help you, I will. Again, thank you. Bye.